Good morning, everyone. We'll just wait for everyone to pop in, grab their last coffees, and our virtual attendees, I can see, are popping online. Couple last creaky chairs. Not long ago, I had the unique opportunity to meet with a small business owner named Sarah. She was a second-generation business owner. Her parents had created a sign company that designed, manufactured, and printed, installed, and even put them way up on the top of the buildings that lights up Sydney's skyline. It was a pretty cool business. The business did low 7 figures of revenue, and they had about 12 employees. And when I was talking to Sarah, we were going through the process, and she really told me something that stuck with me, which is like, she had to do every single quote in the business. And I said, why? Why did you have to do the quotes? And she said to me, well, every sign on the top of every building, on the top of every crane, is uniquely designed. So it's uniquely priced, it has unique materials, it has to be designed beautifully, and it even has to be installed. I guess I learned something that the height of the building, a whole bunch of different things have to go into play. And that it was only because she was a second generation business owner that she could do all the quotes and understood the business as well. During peak seasons, she had actually asked one of the gentlemen on the manufacturing floor to be able to help out during the peak seasons, and she had tried a number of different times to be able to hire someone to be able to do the pricing, and it never worked. And it never worked because it was just so complicated in what she believed. And she truly believed that every quote was unique. Now, when I asked her the questions about average sale size, and we asked about the average time to build the signs and the conversion rate, kind of what came up was that she was only able to actually respond to 70% of the quotes that were coming through to her business. Now, it wasn't just a classic business. She had done some pretty cool stuff. It was an email that came into a quote inbox. She had automatic tasks come up that went to an Excel job sheet that came out of it. And so she had done a pretty good job, I'd argue, at putting this together. But she still missed 70%, and when we did the math on it, this 7-figure business with 15 employees, all of you can do the math in the room about what their operating profit would be. Just responding to that extra 30% would add $500,000 in operating profit to her business. That's an enormous amount for a small business, right? And this is the perfect place where Decidr can step in. Decidr sits in that opportunity space of lost opportunity for businesses there, where our platform and our AI agents cross that kind of intersection between expertise and scalability. And Decidr can bring those opportunities to small businesses. There's 60 million small and medium-sized businesses in the Western world, and we're very excited to be able to take our technology and show all of you and the people online for the first time some of the applications of our unique architecture and technology. And so I'm very, very, like Steam Bomber in Windows 95 excited. I wore a black shirt so I wouldn't sweat through everything, but I promise Paul and I will not do dancing. There will not be Rolling Stones. But we're very excited because in Decidr, there's this collective energy in our business and what we've been working for. There's nothing better than a good deadline, right, to work towards something. And I can tell you our whole team has really, with a great attitude and keen skills, and they're all weapons to be able to bring this today. We have over 25 minutes of demos today. So we have five products that Decidr will be launching, as well as 2 products which our partners will be launching. So we have a lot to go through today. It's going to be really exciting. And with that, I'd like to pass across to my good friend and business partner, Paul Chan, the founder of Decidr. So let's get to it. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Well, excitement is definitely in the room, and I've been very excited about this moment, thinking about it for actually quite some time. But before I kick off, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about a lot of what I've been experiencing, particularly in the last 12 months, since we've really become a lot more public, literally, and also as it's quite clear that the opportunity that sits before us is something that will affect everybody. And I like big things, and I like complex things, and I like the details. But I can tell you that this type of deja vu that you get 25 years later, after I started another company in the last major digital technology-driven revolution, which was moving from analog to digital. And I can almost on a daily basis, and I do this regularly now, stop people and say, the face you're giving me is exactly the same type of face. Where are we going? There's a level of uncertainty, there's a level of excitement, and it's in the news every day. So you get to sort of not hide from it, it's there. But to kick things off, I want to go way back because I was trying to find the right comparison, find something that I could quickly put into your minds to form new beliefs around what has happened before. So I want to take you back to the artisan's workshop. I want to take you right back into super high-skilled people excited about building things, in workshops, collaborating, working around things, and producing things that truly everybody was excited about, new products, new innovations, like cars. But there was a big problem. The cars were only available to the rich. And it was very, very, very expensive to buy a car. And also, it took a long time. And if you wanted to scale car production, you couldn't easily because you had to find these skilled artisans. But there was a revolution. And the revolution actually started with electricity. And Edison, who was a friend of Ford, encouraged him as it was very clear that the world was going to move towards this new innovation called a car, but you had to build them at scale, really, really big scale. But there was a problem. There was no skilled workers, and scale means big. Scale means reinventing and putting huge amounts of innovation into the process itself. The process of making the car needed to be the big innovation. And so, what happened? Well, what used to be in the artisan's head, what used to be the process that looks, if you were to draw it in a time and motion study, of which I've been involved in quite a few, looks like a huge bunch of squiggly lines going all the way back around, people walking around the car, feeling busy, feeling productive, feeling motivated, feeling excited. But it is still slow, and it is still inefficient. But if you broke up every single one of those processes, and you made the process that you broke up into small tasks, and those tasks were small enough, then anybody could do them. So you could have the most unskilled worker with zero education and could not even read, but they could become instantly productive, instantly applied to a process, to a task, to an individual task, one task per person. And you could create something magical if you reverse engineered that process. Now again, we're at the precipice, we're at an inflection point. We're at a point in time that the world is about to move through technology and through people like you in this room who decide to embrace that technology into the future. And that future is and has become what you experience today, that genesis of the quality of life you enjoy today, the concept of a weekend, the concept of a middle class. All of those things are because of that innovation of production itself, of the production line. And a moving assembly line moved the task right in front of you. It meant that there was no squiggly lines anymore. It meant that a car could be built, which was already fast. He'd already done a huge amount of work. It was already a very big factory. There was already very, very specific interchangeable parts. There was a lot of innovation, a lot. But that moving assembly line stopped people moving around. It turned them into, dare I say, simpler, specialized robots. But the same people that were, let's say, could not imagine driving the cars that they produced, in time became the people that could buy the cars. And I think there's going to be a huge amount of unimaginable things that start happening now as we move forward and embrace and connect what is now possible. And that means the process becomes the power. Moving that power away from artisans, moving it into huge digital workspaces. And taking what has already happened. Let's play history over. Let's look at and specifically imagine exactly what is going to happen, because this is what is going to happen. What was a generalized person with a family and a life and a weekend and working hours? And more importantly, when Ford doubled the wages, it was to stop absenteeism, because people, irrespective of how unskilled, irrespective of the fact that they couldn't go to another job easily. But it was an innovation, and do you know what the innovation was? When he doubled the wages, there was 10,000 people outside the factory the next day. There was industrial pressure to stop the process of paying people that much. But if you could produce more, and you could make it cheaper, and you could create the concept of a mass market, then once that process was established, you could mechanize it. Now, what does that look like? This is exactly what it looks like. It's going to go from huge amounts of physical tasks. Knowledge work is physical tasks. Your brain is in your body does your talking, and your fingers do the typing. And so you are single task focused and you're generalized. And if you're in a small business, you're doing a lot of tasks, you have a lot of tabs open, and every one of those tasks can be turned into a process using known methodologies, and more importantly, can move outside of the worker, exactly like the programmable robot arm that looks like an arm because it needed one function. And so one task at a time, which means every company can now be a factory. Every company can now be a factory that is the production of knowledge and intelligence. This guy's incredible, Jensen, from NVIDIA. Now, it's super easy to do a presentation about the future when almost, and this has only happened in the last 12 months, and that's why it feels like deja vu, because it just starts to happen and the momentum starts to happen, and then everyone starts sounding the same. And I used to say this sort of stuff no more than a year ago, and David would say, Paul, don't say that, can't say it, no one's going to understand that. But now I feel confident. I can see that this is going to happen. And yes, we are at the beginning, but it'll happen faster because we're talking about atoms, we're talking about unlimited sized organizations, unlimited sized, because physical space is not a problem. But if you don't have that approach, then you're just going to be, let's say, challenged. And if you don't work out what it means to productionize your knowledge workflows, then you're going to be left behind. And where that starts is practically. And so what I want to do now is hand back over to David so that you can immerse yourself in what's available today. And then a little later on, I will take you into a little bit more of the details.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. A good portion of my job is telling Paul, don't say that, don't say that, don't say that. Welcome to Decidr in Action. Now we're getting to the main course of the show today. But first, before we get into it, I want to actually talk about how we see the world when it comes to artificial intelligence. And my lizard brain kind of breaks it down into these 4 different quadrants. When we think about the tools and AI tools that we use every day, let's break them up into tools that are expensive and tools that are cheap, and AI that is functionally as a tool to the business, or AI that is autonomous and productive, okay? So let's talk about a couple of examples of these. Now, I'm the first person in this room to put my hand up and say, I want to look absolutely fantastic on a video meeting. Let's zhuzh me up, make me look fantastic, right? And I've tried an avatar. I've gone into the metaverse. I would highly recommend that you do not go into the metaverse at the moment. But I've had my VR headset. But again, we had a meeting when I was at another company in the metaverse. Did it really add to our company value? No. I've looked at a meeting summary before. Does it help with the productivity of our organization? No. These are tools that are cheap and easy, right, for our organizations, but they don't really move the needle when it comes to the productivity of our organization. As we kind of move up towards the middle of the crosshairs here, you see some really fantastic tools starting to emerge in terms of Copilot, helping engineers be able to write better code, cleaner code, safer code, and code more quickly. Definitely starting to do that, and that is native in a number of different enterprise tools that are out there. As we kind of go up, there's a number of great companies doing sales development resource or cold calling or outbounding with synthetic voices. There's a couple of fantastic Aussie firms out there, and yes, they are absolutely adding productivity to the organization, right? And at the very top, you have AI studios. There's a fantastic one built by IBM on the Watson X, who competed on Jeopardy so many years ago. That is like the NASA of building your own enterprise tools if you are a very, very large organization. So, do you notice something on a pattern here, right? There's a very clear game being played out by the titans of industry. If you look at the very top, those titans are doing business with other titans, and what they're doing is they're driving more revenue within their enterprise sales units. I was part of an organization which did that. And at the very bottom, you have here enterprise moat creation, because it's those same companies who we pay SaaS subscription fees to. And they are creating moats around their businesses to protect their SaaS fees. Because in an AI future, you do not need a CRM system. In an AI future, you do not need many of the SaaS tools that are out there. And there's a litany of AI companies popping up in startups. And why do they want to start up? And many of the IMs, they have a clear focus to be acquired by enterprise companies, right? So when you start to look at the organizations in the map out here, we kind of think of it pretty simply. You have enterprise AI in the top left, top right-hand corner here. You have AI distractions, which are expensive in tools, and none of us want those. And you have novelty AI, which is what we are mostly experiencing today. And at the very top, you have AI organizations. And if you remember, that was pretty empty, right? And so to become an AI organization, why is that space empty? Well, the fact of the matter is, as Paul talked about electricity coming into play, to create your own AI model is like building your own nuclear power plant today. Companies are literally building their own nuclear power plants in their organizations. And that's why it costs to build or buy your entry fee of $5 million. And I can vouch for that, because in another life, I helped build some of the largest models in the world, and they cost exactly that amount of money on it. And so if AI is electricity, then why are we building these big nuclear power plants? Welcome to the nuclear power plant building tool set for artificial intelligence. Right? If you are going to take 10% of these and you're going to get your subscriptions and find some people, that is why you have to pay $5 million to be able to do that. Right? So it's a very big and expensive process. And for 99% of all businesses, this is totally unaffordable for them. Now, we're going to start getting into the Decidr platform and where we play. And I like this slide because it's shocking, but also because it's a place where Decidr can you find your orientation around the Decidr platform. And Paul and the team have created a truly remarkable platform. That's why I joined this company. And it's a no-code platform that actually traverses many of these areas in the nuclear power plant building factory to be able to bring model development, to be able to bring artificial intelligence training, to be able to bring analytics all together in a single tool. And that tool is what we call the Decidr AI Parallel. Now, when you eliminate the cost of building artificial intelligence, we start to think about practical AI development pretty simply. And when you think about a small business, you have your front office, which you deal with customers, you have your operations, your mid office, and then you have your back office. And when you think about AI, what can AI do for me? How can AI make my life more productive? Well, if you want to grow more customers or grow revenue or expand your margin, if you want to get back to the customers in a timely way, and if you want to have your supply chain meet the growing demands of your customers. If you had AI help you in just one of these, you would be tremendously happy as a business, and you'd be getting the ROI that you want from artificial intelligence. And so today, in Decidr in Action, we're going to take you through 7 products, 7 apps that we've created that sit within what we call an AI parallel in Decidr. So we've given them anthropomorphic names: Ava, Ellie, Ani, C1, Banjo AI, and things like that. But don't forget, these are not just independent AI. These are swarms of massive groups of artificial intelligence that work towards a goal. Now, very importantly, as we're going to start today, I'm going to take you through the concept of an AI parallel, right? Sounds super exotic. And now, these AI parallels also exist in many functions within the business. So I'd like you to think about the production lines that Paul talked about before. You can take any production line today, and once you build it, you could build a widget or you could build a car, depending on how it goes, right? The same thing happens with knowledge tasks. And that's what we've built in the Decidr platform, spanning front office, back office, and mid office across all those different functions. Now, you'll notice some boxes that are blank today. For the purposes of time, we're not going to get you to sit down for an 8-hour presentation, but we've built all of these. And so we'll be talking about more of our back office in another presentation. But importantly, and why we chose to open today and talking about the front office and mid office, because classic sales 101, how are you going to get new customers? You're going to help them grow their business and grow more customers. And that's why we focused on it today. And we're in the middle, we're going to show you how you can have happier employees. And the first one, as I mentioned, is the AI parallel. And I know a parallel, like, boy, that sounds exotic, right? But parallels exist in business today. They exist in all your businesses, right? When you launch a new website, you put the new one to 5%, right? Make sure it doesn't break, then you roll it over to 100%. When any of you have launched a new SaaS tool or you roll over a database, right, you keep the other one running in parallel, sometimes indefinitely. We all have those systems that we can't get rid of. And even when you are promoted or when you leave your job, what do? You onboard the person who's going into your space, and you write a handover document, right? And so the parallel is exactly the same as that. But why we've created a parallel is because companies today, in their nuclear power plant generations, are trying to jam AI into HI, human intelligence, right? And how do humans work? We're hierarchical, right? We have people, process, politics, and procedure. And what Paul mentioned, there's a ton of hidden knowledge in the organization. And what we're trying to do there is jam AI in different parts of it. It's like creating Swiss cheese in your organization. So we built the Decidr organization, not the Decidr platform, not for people, but for artificial intelligence. That is our customer. That is the tool that is going to be using our platform. And how does artificial intelligence work? It's fully networked. It knows everything at the same time. It is goal-oriented. It has perfect memory. And so artificial intelligence in the Decidr platform is more focused on fields, on knowledge tasks, and it takes humans and puts it in what you'll hear us talk about today called humans in the loop, or HITL. And they are the specialists which provide the tuning, not training, but the tuning for these tools to go in. And what we're able to do is take apart that knowledge that was previously hidden in all of our brains, and you put it into a process. And when you put it into a process, it becomes infinitely scalable, right? And so where we are today is we are in the co-pilot area. So that is businesses working with AI. And what do we get? We get meeting summaries, we get Juji, Zoom things, we get things that aren't driving massive amounts of productivity, but yet they're contained, true AI is only contained in enterprise at the moment. Where with a Decidr platform, we can move to autopilot. And that is where, just like electricity in production lines today, you are simply just buying more power to drive your production line more quickly. The same thing happens in artificial intelligence, is that you are only limited by the amount of intelligence that you can buy on demand from companies like OpenAI, NVIDIA, Anthropic, and so on and so forth. So now that we understand the concept of an AI parallel, the apps that live in the AI parallel are the ones that we're going to talk to today, and we're going to start to go through some demos. The first one is actually an exhaust function of the AI parallel, which was delightfully discovered by our team, what we call our always-on CRM, right? So put your hand up if you have great data in your business. Oh, right. Okay, some confident people. Okay, that's good to know. I like a challenge, right? So, well, I'm going to challenge you on that. But when we start thinking about business and we start thinking about business data, is when we look deeper, there is business who have lots of data, who have a little bit of data, who have really low quality data, and who have high quality data. Now, perhaps there are a couple companies, let's call them Google and Amazon, who sit in that big world of the 1% who have arguably very good data structures and very good control of data. But I would say that a couple of you are liars, right? And that 97% to 99% of all businesses have crap data. Now, the reason why, and let's use a CRM as an example, the reason why CRMs are so poor from a data perspective is not because the data in it is wrong. It's because there's not enough data in it. So put your hand up if you ever asked a salesperson to fill in their CRM record. Yes, and shy hands there. Absolutely, right? And that's the critical thing here. So the same thing happens with small businesses, and they have tons of data everywhere, but all that data is siloed, right? But when we think about it, a common small business, what do they all have? They all have an accounting platform, right? They all have Excel. They all have a G Drive or a Dropbox, and God knows what's in it. Probably everything since Dropbox was created, right? Especially my Dropbox. You definitely have a lot of email. But each of these circumstances, when siloed, offer a critical piece of customer information into them, right? And so if you could bring them together and have a ground truth customer record or a golden customer record, what could you start to do it with your business? How could you start to segment your customers? How could you start to deal with your customers and interact with your customers in a different way? But most importantly, all those salespeople who are spending their time putting in probably not enough data into their CRM system, they could be focused on doing what? Selling, having more conversations with customers. Thanks from the back row there, appreciate it. And so when you start putting all of these things together, what you get is this always-on CRM. Now, what I'm going to show you today, we're going to start our demo session now, is essentially a view into a virtualized layer of the CRM. This is our Decidr AI Parallel, and it sits on what we call Decidr Core 1.8, version 1.8, and you have the interaction layer. So these are the apps that I was showing you before. Now, because in our core, AI is talking to AI, and it's kind of sometimes difficult to visualize, we've created a visualization layer. And so what you're going to see now is Patrick, one of our senior computational engineers, talk you through a typical scenario of absent data in a CRM system. And that absent data, what are you going to see? To give you, I want to warm you up for this because there's a lot going on in this demo. You are going to see AI determine the context of the problem. You're going to see AI spin up agents to be able to accomplish the task. You're going to see AI monitor those agents on that task. And you are going to see AI actually come back and review the logic for it. Now, for many of you who haven't been involved in AI model development or ML training, that is a very hard thing to do today. So we're going to go through it at the end because it's going to go pretty quickly. But it is a way, if you can imagine a CRM system with thousands of records in it, now being completed by artificial intelligence. So with that, I'll pass across to Patrick.
Hey guys, we're currently located in one of our demo tables right here, and I wanted to showcase how an AI can fill in cells for us, and I also wanted to talk about our design task system and how an AI does it behind the scenes. So without further ado, I'm going to let the AI fill in the first cell for us, which is going to be the last name. So we're gonna head to the core table, core base I mean, and as you can see, we are located in the tasks table, and this is our task that he has to do. So as you can see is the last name, and it's separated into 3 tasks. So the first one is determine context. This first AI agent chooses the context that's suitable for the final AI that's filling in the last name. The second task is assign role, which basically assigns the best AI role that's going to do this task. And right here for our organization roles, we are for this demo organization, we have a few specialist roles, as you can see, gender, nationality, email, so on. We also have a surname specialist. So he is probably going to choose the surname specialist for this specific task because the field name is last name after all. And as you can see, once these 2 parent tasks complete, it's going to turn the child task, aka the final task, the one that fills in the actual value, into ready state, and then it's going to get picked up and go into completed, and the cells is going to be filled. So as you can see, it's in progress right now, and it should be ready. I mean, not ready, but completed in a few seconds. There we go. Now let's head back to the table and let's just refresh it real quick. And there we go. It has filled in the name for us. Now let's see what, for the context, what did the AI choose? So it chose two context blocks. As you can see, the first one is the customer, he called it customer information, described with this, containing first name and email, and then linked our record, and for the cells, it linked our email and our first name. So he linked this field and this field, I mean this cell and that cell. And then he also added a related order because he found me in a separate table with my name on it. So based on that, the final AI was able, based on the email that was given to him through the context, he was able to extract my last name and properly fill it. We also have a table called AI Reasonings, which explains all of his reasons on why he chose and did all of his actions. So just to showcase quickly, he chose this because it's providing relevant information. This is for the context task, as you can see right here. Determine context. This one is for the assigning role. Surname specialist is explicitly designed to handle such. So he found the perfect match. And then for the final task, as you can see, his reasoning is because in this and because of the format, and it's reasonable to guess that that is my last name.
Now that we're looking at that thing, I want to just remind the people, I know I said it was going quickly there, but in this particular demonstration, we had an AI agent act completely autonomously within the data. It developed its own context, it solved its own problems, and it even, if you notice Patrick, and it's the classic engineer's demo that he was just chatting away, and he missed one of the biggest point, was it actually also found products that were linked to that customer for it, and it put it in the record. Now imagine thousands of these working within your CRM system 24 hours a day to continually add more data to your business. So the always-on CRM is not just about taking what data you have in your AI parallel, and we're going to get into essentially how robust and how adaptable and agile the Decidr the AI platform is, in the sense that you can just connect any of your data sources via API, you can just connect your Dropboxes, you can load in any CSV file, PDF file, and the AI can traverse it. But really important is you can imagine a small business organization which now is equipped with a golden customer record for each of their customers on it. So not only is it saving them time, but it's moving them towards productivity. So that is our always-on CRM. Now, let's move to still sitting in the front office, and now we're going to talk about our second application called Ava. And I'm going to invite Anna Mitzios, the founder and managing director of Edible Beauty, to join me on stage. We're going to talk about an active case study that we have now, and we're going to get into some of the kind of processes of how we've worked with Edible Beauty, a small business here in Australia, in actually deploying the Ava agent. Thanks, Anna, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it working? Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's really an honour to be able to talk about Edible Beauty's experience with Decidr, and I'd love to just take a minute to introduce myself. I'm the founder of Edible Beauty Australia. I'm a naturopath and nutritionist. I haven't always been. I actually started off in a very different field of finance, and my career took a little bit of a turn when I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic, and that was at 18. I became very passionate about herbs and nutrition and supplementation, and so I started studying naturopathy. In 2014, I was working in a fertility clinic, and I was seeing many women come through with, and men actually, with hormone imbalances, and I was putting them on protocols which involved supplements, vitamins, lifestyle changes, but in addition to that, I was recommending that they change their personal care products. And given we absorb over 60% of what we put on our skin, I thought, well, doesn't it make sense to be giving them something that was edible to put on their skin? But there was nothing available in the marketplace. So I actually started creating a range of skincare products that were literally edible, and hence the name Edible Beauty Australia. We also have a range of wellness products which targets beauty on the inside. So we've got that dual approach to beauty. A little bit about us, what makes us different is we've got a very strong stance when it comes to purity. We have very innovative formulas. They're very complex in their nature and also in the ingredients that we use. We're a small business, so we really do have a low head count, and so we're wearing multiple, well, in particular I'm wearing multiple roles when it comes to the operations, from customer service to finance to operations and marketing. So when I started talking to Paul and David back in May, the prospect of having something that was able to fuel Edible Beauty's growth was really exciting to me. And that was for a few reasons. Firstly, the time that it takes for me to create a new app or to work on a new app, I don't create the apps, but to work on new apps in the business is very extensive. We've got, as I mentioned, a low head count. And also, we're just constrained with respect to resources and being able to actually hire multiple staff members to take on these roles. So this was a really exciting prospect to be able to have AI fuel our growth and to grow the business. So some of the things that you may hear about when it comes to AI, and I also was personally quite concerned about, and I must say I was a bit of a skeptic about AI, as you may also be, but I was really concerned about the company values. We're a small business, as I mentioned. We're really very focused on a customised solution for our customers that come onto the site. They're more mature, so they're very traditional in the way they shop and their approach. We're also boutique, so we want that level of really personalisation when it comes to what we're recommending. Anything automated can come across very salesy and inauthentic for us. So maintaining those brand values is really important. We also wanted this AI functionality to understand the complexity of the ingredients that we were using. We're not run-of-the-mill products, definitely have very innovative ingredients, and we wanted the AI to understand the detail of that. But also we wanted it to be using the right tone. I love my own tone, as everyone tends to in their business, which is a little bit more mature, less casual, and also very friendly. And we wanted the AI to be able to match that. We also, as David alluded to earlier, we're also very, very focused on collecting customer data. So the more customer data we have, the better it is, obviously. And we want to do that with very low effort and low cost as well. So I guess as an e-commerce predominantly business, we're very much focused on having support available to our customers 24/7 and having the ability for a customer to interact with our site at any level or depth that they wish is also very important to us. So they were some of the must-haves that I was very particular about when I started talking to David and Paul. And as you'll come to see, I was quite sort of pleasantly surprised by what came about, and we'll share that with you.
We took those must-haves really seriously, and Anna was, I think, a fantastic case study for a typical small business and what they expect, right? And if we talk about those critical things, it's low head count, it's deep institutional knowledge, but at the same time poor, right? Because Anna has tons of things to do in her business and grow her business. So can we take the Decidr platform in a low-touch way to deliver a productivity result that she was looking for? So just like we discussed today, we created an AI parallel with Edible Beauty. So here are the things that are connected to the Edible Beauty AI parallel. You have Klaviyo, which is an email marketing system, Fishbowl, which is procurement, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, Meta, you have Google Ads, those are the outbound advertising platforms, and of course you have other things like CSV files, videos of Anna in presentations, PDF files, you name it, got dumped into the AI parallel. And remember, that's the only process that we had to do, and we created Ava as the interaction layer to sit on top of this platform to be able to make sales on the Edible Beauty website. Now, if we talk about the process, this was our first ever deploy of the AI parallel and deploy of one of our apps on a live site. And as we went through the process, it was pretty much a straightforward exercise, Anna, if I'm not too bold to say, in the sense that we spent the first 4 weeks in bringing the AI parallel together, and arguably we were able to do all of our connections and data entry into the AI parallel in the first week or so. And then we launched Ava, and Ava was arguably intelligent within a few hours on the edible beauty business. We were able to query Ava. Ava was giving pretty nuanced results on the back of that. And what we did was we spent the next 4 weeks working with Anna in a light touch way to be able to tune Ava to become almost like Anna's avatar, right, on the edible beauty website. Once Anna was comfortable, we were able to then shift it to, just like another parallel with an AI, with a website, is we launched what we call a domain parallel. So this was the website that's powered by Decidr that went to 5% of the traffic of the edible beauty website. And when we were happy we didn't have a Skynet moment and Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't show up to kill me from the future, we then flipped it across to 100%. And so from end to end, our first deploy was an 8-week process. And at the point of, I would argue, 2 weeks into our live deploy, we were pretty much ready to launch Ava to 100% of traffic on it. And so what we're going to show you now is Ava in action, and Anna's going to talk through some of the nuance, which is really important to think about. And I want to set the scene here. Is like if you go to any beauty business or any e-commerce business and you go on their chat that's AI, what it will typically do is anytime it has a problem, it'll smash you with products or smash you with an email address to reach out to customer service. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we go through this particular demo here.
So this is us demonstrating Ava in action. So this is a typical scenario where Ava introduces herself, and you can see she's quite friendly and pleasant, which is to my delight. So she asks about the name. She asks the customer for their name, and this is Pravesh. So she does then offer that Pravesh will either take a consult with myself, which is fantastic because we're maintaining that personalisation, or can take a skin analysis for a really customised recommendation for his skin. And she then goes through and asks various questions to really determine the skin type. And he will then ask, she then sort of mentions one of our ingredients, and she's very sophisticated. She then ends up answering the question about what that ingredient is in a very sophisticated way. We haven't told her this, she just knows. She knows all about our complex ingredients, which is fantastic. And so he then proceeds and asks about the benefits of turmeric. And we use turmeric in one of our serums, and there's a lot of nuances around turmeric. It sounds like a simple food product, but there's so many benefits when it comes to the skin. And Ava, of course, knows all of those benefits and lists them out. Again, without any guidance from us, she has this information. We're gathering our customer data, which is so important. Previously only really using surveys ad hoc to collect this information. And then she's also very on brand. She's asking about the wellness products, which are so important to our philosophy and that holistic view of the skin. And so he's answering that question. And then she's, at this point in time, she's unable to help with the order, but we've got some new progress on that, which is very exciting. I think even just overnight, she can assist with that now. So she goes on and determines whether he needs a sunscreen, basically. Some more questions. She's very quick and fast. There's not much of a delay in terms of her answers. Asking about the eye area. She's just gathering all the information now. So now she's come up with her product recommendations, which is fantastic. As I mentioned, there's developments to this now where this is an inside experience. These can be added immediately to cart. But she's fantastic at knowing what products to recommend based on the answers, and uses that intellect to do that. She's great at providing coupons, which we've also given her parameters on, but she's giving a 25% coupon. And this is important for us with that first customer interaction. It takes them over the line with that purchase. Now asking a little bit more about a specific product, and she's able to actually list out, and she's identified as obviously a significant ingredient list, but she's able to identify exactly the ingredients she should be mentioning, and she knows they're active, and she knows what to say about all of them, which is impressive. So Ava's done a great job. Now she's sort of Also, talking about me again, asking if this person wants to have a consult, which is, again, bring that personalisation back, which we love, and this is very helpful. So you can see her tone's very friendly. She's very polite. She's always on brand. We'll see that a little bit later on as well.
And so with Ava, we were able to, let's jump to the next slide here. There we go. With Ava, you'll see really quickly that she was quickly intelligent. And I want to talk about like something around artificial intelligence. We're going to use the term inhuman. It's used negatively a lot, but in terms of artificial intelligence, I want to kind of change your frame and think about it positively. Ava knows the products better than most humans. Probably Anna knows a little bit more, but Ava knows the ingredients of the products better than any human on it. So this is a really powerful way to now start scaling your brand. I can tell you Pravesh, who is that person, his skin is glowing, so here's a plug for Edible Beauty's products. But it's highly nuanced. It's available 24/7, 365. People buy day and night, and it's unlimited concurrent sessions. I'm sure we've all called some telco for customer service one way or another, who sounds to say, yes, we have humans in the thing, but those poor humans have 10 concurrent conversations. It takes 3 minutes between every chat to get back of it. Ava is instant and fast on the back of it. And also what we'll be launching as well is Ava is conversational in over 172 languages. And so we've turned that off when we first started it, but for the Edible Beauty business now, it can converse pretty much anywhere in the world, and it can deliver its products anywhere in the world. Now, we saw a great version of Ava. So I put this in this morning because when I'm online, I'm really nice today, but when I'm online, I'm a jerk. I'm a full jerk. So what I wanted to do was actually hit Ava on as a jerk would do online, right? Time poor, I know nothing about beauty. And so we started to say Ava. It's like, Ava, can you give me my name? No, no way. I'm not giving you my name, right? And that's perfectly fine. Let me give you an offer, right? No, just tell me what your best product is. And you can look at my keyboard abilities as well. It gives the most popular product and most successful product for Edible Beauty. And I say, is this expensive, right? And I want you to look at Ava's response. It actually gives a nuanced response to the value of the product because it's $190. And I said, how does this compare to Nivea? I'm asking it about a competitor here. And look at the nuanced response that it gives. It doesn't shit on Nivea, but it clearly outlines in the brand values that Anna has put into it that Nivea uses synthetic products and Edible Beauty uses organic products, right? And I asked, who is Anna? Because that's important if this is all about it. Well, there's about Anna. And then, because I was doing the demo this morning, I thought it'd be funny just to ask who his maker was. So we'll see in a moment. Oh, no, sorry. What is the cheapest product on it? And it gives a really fantastic result on the cheapest product. But look at, if you have a quick read of it, it says, I ask it, why is it cheap? Right? So any other chatbot that you're on will just smash you with the product or send you the customer service. So Ava has to think a little bit longer, another half second longer in this one, because it's offered at a lower price because it's a sample size product. It allows you to try before committing to a larger purchase, right? What products contain turmeric, which I've been spelling wrong for the last 6 months, but I realized that, and pronouncing it wrong. And so there's a turmeric skin brightening booster, right? But then I say I'm allergic to turmeric. Right? So I'm a big jerk this morning. I was a bit nervous. So I was a big jerk this morning. And it said, okay, well, I'll make sure not to recommend anything with turmeric in it. Now remember, that's a serum, right? And so say, don't recommend any turmeric. And so I go off script again. Okay, Ava confirms.
So I was a bit worried about this part. I thought that she might recommend an eye serum, but she did well, and she's recommended the right product here.
Yeah.
And it's another equivalent serum without the turmeric inside it. So she's very clever, Ava, and I can trust in her, which is a big thing to say. So I think early on, before we started seeing Ava being developed, I wasn't so sure.
Yeah, I tried a Turing test here just to give it a hit, and then I asked, what am I allergic to, right? So in Ava's constitution, it is not allowed to give personal information out, right? So even in the chat, it's saying, I'm unable to show you that, right? So it's following the rules. And said, can I get the serum, right? So it's going back to my last thing that I wanted. Can I get it cheaper? Give me a code. We've all done it. We all look for a code, come on. Right? Get a 25% discount, right? Out of it, and you can get a skin analysis. So it's bringing you back into the process, right? Ava's trying to collect information on you. And now it goes through and starts that process again that we have. So even jerks like me, right, can't get through Ava on the back of it. So, and the cool thing is Ava works. What we're looking at, and with Edible Beauty, we actually had a fantastic baseline to go against because Anna's team had a human-powered chat for 12 months prior to that. And so we were able to compare like-to-like performance. And if you look through the funnel, let's start at the very bottom, Ava increased the basket size by 50% compared to a human, right? Ava's on all the time. Ava never gets tired. Ava's always attentive. It's always cheery, even to jerks like me, right? And it drives more revenue. But also what Anna said, and if you remember back to the beginning of the presentation, one of the goals was to collect information on a customer. So Ava worked hard to capture information because remember, its goal was to grow revenue over a 12-month period. And this is a subscription product. So it knows that even though it may not get a sale in the chat, we're going to be able to get to that customer again. And so Ava works. And what's really fantastic is now, like the Decidr Parallel, it's the first application within Edible Beauty, and we're really excited to start expanding it and adding more products into it. And so we have what's next for Ava, intelligent one-on-one skincare assessment training, which you would have seen in that demo there, as well as outbound SMS, automated blog production, which we'll talk about, demand-based pricing and bundling. We're going to be working with Anna to describe the goal lines, and Ava will be able to discount on the customer in a live chat based on who they are. Because remember, AI can see everything at the same time. It knows if it's an existing customer. It knows if customers look like that customer and what the outcomes have been. And also, we're launching Ava within the Shopify platform. So the million-plus businesses that do commerce online through the Shopify platform will now be able to access Ava. And what's really exciting is, we'll be launching this shortly, is we're actually expanding the ability of Ava within the Edible Beauty website. So what we're seeing here is actually Ava building a live website in real time based on the chat. So you can see here what's on sale that I might like, and essentially Ava is building the entire website in real time for that particular customer. And notice, like, this sale is just for you, Emily. How do these, it's putting customer questions that are most common for that particular customer type coming in. And Emily is an existing customer, and Ava already knows that. So it's going to go through quickly, but it already knows that Emily is an existing customer, and it's pulled her records on file, her address and her shipping address, and her credit card information. Right? So this in the past, you have to remember when you're buying online, you are going through dozens of clicks to be able to find that. And so we have just cut through all of that journey to get to the customer right away. And remember, the AI Parallel is containing all the information on the Edible Beauty business, and it's driving that outcome. Its goal is to grow revenue on a 12-month period, and in an inhuman way. You can imagine 30,000 people hitting this will have 30,000 unique experiences on it, all optimized to get them to transact in the back of it. So with that, thank you, Anna.
Thank you,
that was Ava, and Anna, thanks very much. Okay, so we've talked about sales. Now let's talk about a different type of customer inside the organization, right? So everyone brace yourself. I'm sure there's one of you who have a desktop like this. I know this gives a lot of people anxiety. I didn't know there's a Canadian flag at the very top. This is not my desktop, I promise you. I promise you that. But this is a metaphor for business data, right? It's always a mess. I know there was a couple people put your hand up. Maybe one of you is telling the truth. But business data is always a mess, right? It's always contained everywhere in paper and pen and documents and all over the place. If we've ever had any critical employee leave the organization, there's always an enormous amount of knowledge debt that kind of gets created out of the back of it. And so when we search for information in an organization, when we try and find it, we spend most of our time at the top. Because we're like Chevy Chase in the National Lampoons. You got that big light of Christmas lights and that knot, and we have to unknot things every single time. And so, but we do very little of the bottom of creating action on that information. Now, with AI search, you can use natural language and how our brains work to be able to find things. And these are the things that you can use the AI platform for. Who is Leah's manager, right? I didn't put her last name in there. You know, who is that guy who emailed me in July about that GPU sale? That is a real question I asked myself, which I couldn't find the answer to. And can you put in a leave request for Friday for me? Let me know when it's approved, right? So think about your experiences internally in your organizations. And you know, with the Decidr platform and the AI parallel, we're able to connect all of these things. The Decidr system does not need to normalize and structure the data, right? Classically, with any AI development, you have to spend a huge amount of money putting it in rows and columns for the AI to actually work across. The unique architecture that Paul and the team have created, you can put in anything, and the AI can traverse across that without having to normalize that data. And so what we've done for this demo today, we can't show internal CRM systems and stuff like that, and you already know who I am on it. So we've created the first AI organization. It's called Reimagined. It's an accounting company. This is an AI organization from full end to end. What we did was to power this organization, we went to Kaggle. Kaggle is the world's leading source for data to power machine learning and artificial intelligence. And this is a publicly available data set, which we're able to benchmark against. And Reimagined has 300 employees. It's actually had 30 employees that were fired. It has performance reviews. It has a whole bunch of information on those customers. It has pay slips. It has their superannuation here in Australia. That's like 401k for those people watching in the US. And it even has what they think of their managers in the organization. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you Ellie. Now, Ellie sits on top of the AI parallel for Reimagined. And I've started here on it because it takes a little bit to do it, but we have a magic link. So I just want to show that the Decidr AI parallel is fully SSO compliant, and it works across. So even though you're dumping all kinds of random data into your AI parallel, it can still maintain the permissioning across that, right? That is intelligence which is coming into the AI parallel. So I'm going to show you how Jasmine actually can interact with her HR data in the AI parallel. And so you can see here, I just asked that first question, how much leave do I have? And then I said, like, who are you? Let's confirm. So I gave my email address as Jasmine, and then what it did was it sent me a magic link to my email address, 125335, which now authenticated me as Jasmine. And once it authenticated me, it gave me my leave balance of 3 days, 54 days leave, and annual leave balance of 38 days. So let's watch a couple scenarios of that employee, Jasmine, working through her AI parallel in Ellie. So what's my salary? There's my monthly salary, my tax rate, my superannuation rate, which is coming through. And what we've done here is we've actually shown the underlying reference data. That doesn't exist in the forward-facing Ellie, but we want to show you how many references it's hitting to be able to provide that information. Now I said, what is my monthly post-tax salary? Right? So it's going across all the pay slips that are available to Jasmine, and it's pulling out that salary information and showing the calculations for it. How much in post-tax have I earned in the last 8 months? Questions people ask themselves often, employees ask themselves often. There it's done the calculation, 54,000 in post-tax. Who is my superannuation provider? I can tell you many people from a past life do not know that, right? And if we all get our normal annual update from our superannuation provider emailed to us, none of us know who our superannuation provider, and definitely none of us know our membership number. So I can say, can I get my membership number, right? So this is pulling it from the employee record. First say super. And I'm going to ask, who is my manager? So I think it's Paula. She's the managing partner of Reimagined. Right, there's her email address. Now let's try something with Ellie. What is her salary? You know everyone's going to try that, right? That was the first one I put in. Okay, I can't provide the salary information. It's confidential, right? We've asked put another thing is like everything's being recorded, so that'll stop that right away. And can you give me a list of my direct reports? So Jasmine has 2 direct reports. Julia Zhao and Thomas Murray. Now imagine when you're going into budgeting season and your manager is saying, put me my plan for the next financial year together. What is their combined monthly salary? I can pull their monthly salary out of it. Now also, remember, within the AI parallel are things like employee contracts, benefits programs, even the websites of benefits partners and other intelligence, right? Everything goes in there, right? So I can ask, what is the last time one of them got a raise? We've all had a person come to us and ask us that, right? No, I can never remember. So there it is. Superannuation went up on it for Julia, I think. Yep. And I want to book 5 days off. So what's the process? So there's the Rigel-Wolf leave policy for it. Any more than 5 days, I think you have to go, or 10 days, you have to go to the SLT. And then what benefits do we have as an organization? Coming from past life, I know that I can drive employee engagement. I won't give you this for player sales pitch. But it can now list all the benefits simply. Right? Remember, these are documents, huge documents that you're handed as an employee. And then I want to ask, what is a novated lease? Again, quite complicated. And very simply, it explains what a novated lease to a person. And now, if you have a novated lease, you can also probably salary package other things in your organization. And I want to see if I can salary package a mobile phone, which I would highly recommend. So you can, okay? Well, I want to buy a phone. This is how much it costs. What would I pay in post-tax? Right? So you have to remember, it's got to know who I am, right? It has to know my marginal tax rate. It has the price of the phone. It has to know if the phone, if I'm available, if I can pre-tax package it. And there's the approximate cost of $1,000, so I can save $500 on my pre-tax phone. So coming in, that's kind of the end of it. We could go for a long time there, but hopefully it gives you a taste of the power of now traversing that information. So we've done it for HR. Imagine that was a sales team. Imagine you were the CEO of the organization, right? Really quickly, you can ask it, what is my total monthly salary, right? Who are my top performers? Imagine, who are the people who are on the lowest quartile for performance? Those are things that can come to your hands instantly in it. And so Ellie changes the way that we can work within the data in our organization. You don't have to spend the time worrying about organizing it. You can actually action that information. And so with Ellie, all your company's collective knowledge is in one place, which is really amazing. Ellie adapts to your unique company language. Most of you some of you have met me before, but most people call me DCB. So Ellie in Decidr knows who I am, right? Because everyone calls me DCB. So it adapts to your organizational knowledge. It maintains your permission. It's completely federated within your environment, so none of your data goes anywhere else. And starting in 2025, Ellie will actually be able to action information for you. Book me a leave policy, right? Send an email to this person, so on and so forth. So we're really excited about Ellie because we believe it can really add that first production line within the organization to power productivity within the organization. So that's Ellie. Now, moving across, I'm going to pass to a good friend, Duncan, who introduced me to my wife 20 years ago, and amongst many other great things. And Duncan's going to talk to us about how we're putting the Decidr AI platform and Ani to start bringing in additional customers in your front office. So with that, I'll pass it across to Duncan.
Hello, thank you. Still married, by the way. Probably the most successful thing I've done in my career. So I'll start by saying what drew me to Decidr, the most exciting thing, and that was that it solves many of the key issues I've seen in my career. and I've run businesses in e-com, retail, technology. I think a real example is the quality and availability of data, which, quite frankly, is a bit of a mess in most organizations. And Decidr solves that. So you've already seen a little bit of that today. You'll see a little bit more now when I talk about content generation. I think I'll set the scene by talking about what we see as this digital divide. And what I mean by digital divide is the number of people using AI tools in the workforce and the amount of businesses that are actually ready, capable, and using AI. So this is happening in Australia, it's happening in North America, it's happening in Europe. But some numbers for Australia. There's about 5.1 million people on a regular basis in the Australian workforce using AI tools. But when asked whether their organization is actually AI ready, it's about 15%. So about 40% of the workforce is using AI tools, and this is something as simple as ChatGPT, for example. So people are using these tools because they know it can add value, they know it can remove automated tasks, but businesses are not ready. And that's kind of what Decidr does, and it's really exciting. So let me start by talking about this difference between theory and practice. We're talking about content generation now, and that's the example I'm going to use and talk through the application that we have for content generation. In theory, it's quite easy to explain. So lots of value in generating content, and businesses can get lots of value from it. But the practicality of it is actually quite hard. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and it can be quite complex to manage. So what we see is the evolution in that, moving from something that is complex, hard to manage, into what we call moving the business user, business owner, whoever's generating that content, moving them from a writer to an editor. And that's where the value of that task is. So we use this tool, Human in the Loop. You've already heard that a couple of times today. So if the Decidr AI application can generate 90% or do 90% of that work, that leaves 10% for that human in the loop to be checking, verifying, finally pushing the button and making that content live. So that's where we see the value. Now let me introduce you to a business called Onside Content. They are a content generation business, and they're also now a key partner of the Decidr business. They operate at the big end of town, so have some pretty big customers, and they generate bespoke content for those businesses, and that's things like predicting their customers' future interests, helping them convert leads with bespoke solutions. And they already have a data-led strategy, so they're already starting to utilize AI, but they have a data-led strategy already. So what data are we talking about? It could be internal customer data from their customers. That could be PowerPoint presentations, Excel documents, PDF files. It could be competitor data, and they can merge those two things together and augment it with things that are out on the internet, news, trends, reviews on that piece of content that they're trying to generate. The kicker is that they do this manually, right? So quite time-consuming, quite expensive. But they are very good at it, okay? So a few customer testimonials, a few success stories, and they're using the data-led strategy and all that data from their customers to move the needle on important metrics like retention, like conversion. But again, they're doing it manually with a team of people. So quite consuming, time-consuming, quite expensive. Now let me introduce you to Oni. So Oni is Decidr's AI application for content generation. So partner Oni with Onside Content, and they sit on the AI parallel, a concept we've heard of a few times today, of a business like Edible Beauty, and it can then generate content for that business to meet its business goals. And what data are we talking about? So we'll use the example of Edible Beauty because you've already kind of brought it to life a little bit. That could be transactional data, because part of that AI parallel is the connection with Shopify, so it knows what people are buying on the website. It could be the conversational data that we saw in the example of Ava. David showed an example of him asking questions about turmeric. So it knows what people are talking about on the website and asking questions about. It knows what people are buying. It knows some competitor activity. David used the example of Nivea. And it also knows wider trends on the internet. So the example of turmeric, it can see that there's generally a trend for that ingredient in healthcare products. So it puts those three things together, all connected to the AI parallel, and it's able to create bespoke content for that business. So I'm going to show the platform doing its thing for an example of edible beauty, but you can imagine this could be used for an e-commerce business, but it could be used for any business. You want to generate a bespoke report on your competitor's activity, this can do that with connection to its AI parallel. You want to create a piece of content that is research on geography, demographics, you want to think about opening a new store in a specific area or a new DC, that can do that. But what we'll do is we're looking at the ONI application now in the Decidr platform, and it's a little video. I'll do the talk over rather than listening to a smart engineer do it. But what we are looking at by row is content that the system has already generated, blog content that the system has already generated. We're going to put in a couple of new prompts in. One is about rosacea, which is a redness condition under the eyes, and one is about fine lines. The tool will create a blog title. It will create the blog content very, very quickly. We're doing 90% of that work that I referred to earlier. We're moving the business user, from the writer to the editor. So it'll write the HTML, it'll show the HTML, products from the website. Again, it's connected to AI Parallel, so it sees the products. The products are embedded into the blog content, very important, if you're trying to sell some products, obviously. It will then write that content to the back end of Shopify, so this is the back end of Shopify. It hasn't published the content live. Remember that concept of human in the loop? We want to check it, we want to verify it. So it's hidden at the moment, but we're reading it, we're checking it's embedded the right products into the content. And when that human in the loop has done its piece, it pushes it live. So this is the front end now of Shopify, and it's reading that blog. And you can see that the images are embedded in there. And if we click on an image URL, it takes you to the website. So that's a real example you can see at speed and at scale. Now that's an example of edible beauty. This could be, as I said, some of those examples before, it could be a report in PDF or PowerPoint on your competitors. It could be a range of things. This application could be used very deeply and very broad in lots of different verticals. And I think the important thing to note is that you could create 5, 10 different versions of this. If you wanted a blog content that was very salesy, you would just use the prompt to actually say that. If you wanted a piece of content that was not salesy, more educational, you want to specifically talk about turmeric because it has health benefits in your moisturizer or your cream, you put that in the prompts, and that's what you get, as many versions as you want. You can use a sales version, or you can use an educational version. So I think in conclusion, we see this very powerfully, as I said, moving the business user from the writer to the editor, and that's where the value is. The value is not in writing the content, the value is in editing the content, making sure it's right, and pushing it live. So we're not replacing people, we're repurposing them to focus on higher order value tasks. Showed you the example of ONI doing its thing for edible beauty, but I think the message is it could be used in a variety of verticals, variety of applications, and it's ready to go. So, thank you.
Thanks very much, Duncan. It was your crowning achievement, getting me and Linda hooked up. That was ONI. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Duncan, for putting that together. And again, one of our values in Decidr is the concept of higher order work. And hopefully you can see that in ONI is like what we're powering is that business owners who are not content writers to become participants in the content experience, because who knows their products and their vision and their brand better. And there's a couple things that went really quickly there. All of those products were embedded, and they were the right products in the blog. So ONI knew what products to put in that content piece, which is really exciting. So now we're going to move on to the partner section of our presentation today, and we're going to get into the intelligent outreach piece. So it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Musa and Tommy, the executives from CareerOne. So please welcome them.
Hello. Very good. Microphone. That's probably their first mistake, giving me this microphone. Yep. Thank you, DCB. We're super excited to be here today and share this incredible journey that's only just begun with CareerOne and Decidr. Wanted to get a lay of the land here and see Who in this room has hired recently? Quick show of hands. Okay, a lot of leaders in the room. And who here has looked for a job recently? A couple of honest people. Yep, thank you. Yeah. I think out of the corner of my eye, did I see Tommy?
No.
No?
Research,
Okay.
research only moves. Research only. Our boss is over there.
Very good. Yeah, we do have our chairman over there and one of our employees. I didn't see him raising his hands, and none of the Decidr people, hopefully. You may have heard of us. We've been around for 25 years, and we're a marketplace, which means that we have candidates on one side who are looking for a job, and obviously employers on the other side who are looking to hire. We see 3 million annual visitors, and we have millions of candidate profiles. And while the big numbers, they're always good to showcase for us. Love talking about them. And I'm all but certain that everyone in this room knows the value of data in today's market. For us, our vision is really about improving the experience for job hunters and employers, right down to the individual level. You see, the big problem with job boards today is that they're a huge waste of time. Candidates have to apply for literally hundreds of jobs just to be noticed. And employers need to go through thousands of CVs, sifting through them, trying to find the right person. And it's not how we do things in today's modern instant world.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Moose. This is the reason why I'm so excited. I'm more excited today than I have been in, at least almost 10 years working at CareerOne. And the reason for that is, with Decidr now and their AI technology and our huge data set, as Musa mentioned, we've been around for 25 years. We literally have millions and millions of data in our system from candidates and employers. We're able to build some pretty remarkable products, and 2 of those products we'll talk about today. One of those is tailored towards our many millions of candidates that visit the CareerOne platform each and every year, and the other is for employers of all sizes. The first of which I'll touch on is Banjo. He's our Decidr AI-powered talent agent. You're looking at him up there now. I think he's a he. Pretty sure he's a he. Anyways, so Banjo, in effect, never sleeps, is always on, and is constantly scanning the entire web, at least at the moment in the Australian job market, hundreds of thousands of active jobs that are live at any given moment. He's doing that day to day by scraping over 3,000 company sites and career pages. As jobs pop up onto the market, Banjo's aware of them, pulling them apart, understanding them at their fundamental level. And with that, Banjo's able to bring opportunities to candidates at a scale to use DCB's language that's simply inhuman. Not even the best recruiter can match that type of scale. Even a dedicated team of recruiters can't achieve that type of scale. So we're super thrilled with Banjo, and I want to show you Banjo in action here. This is a recording. You'll see a candidate coming to their platform. It's a little bit small there. This candidate's name is Bradley. Banjo starts with some pretty rudimentary questions to begin with, something you typically would ask of a candidate if you're a recruiter. Eventually, Banjo is going to ask Bradley to upload his resume. In this case, Bradley is happy to do so. And I'll just wait for it to pop up here. But once Bradley uploads his resume, Banjo immediately goes to work analysing that resume, plucking out important information like skills, education history, work experience, and so forth. In effect, building the initial profile of Bradley, which it will then use to start to pair up jobs that are out there in the market.
Yeah. And for those of you that sort of know the game, resumes are like a field of landmines. A lot of resumes, they miss certain information, or even if the information is in the resume, once the resume passes through some technology, that information can be missed. And the beautiful thing here is that it's a dialogue, right? It's a conversation. So where a candidate might upload a resume into another platform, if we can't find the key information on them, that's a dead end for that candidate. But here we can engage them and say, hey, we couldn't find your most recent job experience. Could you tell us about it? We're finding out so much information about candidates in this conversation view.
Yeah, that's right. And to be honest, early on when we first met Paul and he was giving us one of his private TED Talks, he told us, like, you'll be surprised how much information a candidate or a user rather will give to a conversation, a human conversation format. And in our testing, it's certainly looking that way, and it's quite incredible to see. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, 100%. To me, it's the fact that we can treat candidates as individuals as we onboard them and talk to them. As a job board, we've spoken to plumbers the same way we speak to accountants, and Banjo just instantly gives us this ability to have a unique onboarding and interaction journey with them throughout the entire relationship we have with them. So it's fascinating. It just continues to collect information and...
Yeah, and this will embed across all of our assets across CareerOne, and it'll, as Banjo communicates with Bradley and other candidates, it'll be just gathering more and more information. And in fact, we'll be integrating into Bradley's, favorite chat app. Maybe he likes to use WhatsApp, but it'll be constantly having these conversations and also collecting behavioural data about Bradley as he's using the website, what jobs he's searching for, what he's looking for, and so forth. And it'll just continue to get to know Bradley more and more as time goes on.
Yep. Definitely. So you would have noticed maybe that on the screen here you would have seen Bradley as a marketing manager. Now, on a traditional job site, Bradley would need to search from over 360 different job title variations. And job title is only the beginning. When you factor in his skills, his certifications, qualifications, education, there could be literally thousands of roles in the market at any given time for Bradley here. Banjo takes this seemingly impossible task and gets it done in a matter of moments. Then, once Banjo gets to know Bradley, it creates for him what we call an apply pass. So I love this. Banjo has the capability of putting Bradley forward to roles in the market, each time tailoring his application to those roles and helping him reach employers at scale. And it saves him an incredible amount of time. Not only that, but it keeps doing that into the future. As new roles hit the market, Bradley will be put forward to those automatically.
Yeah, and look, I think it's important to tell you guys that, and it's pretty obvious, Bradley's not an expert job hunter. He's not a recruiter. He might be on the market, once every few years. So he himself doesn't even understand all of the potential job titles and roles that he might be suitable for. And that's where the beauty of Banjo comes in. Musa talked about creating an apply pass, but in actual fact, Banjo creates many apply passes for all of the different roles that Bradley would be suitable for. Each of those perfectly tailored and personalised to put his best foot forward for every role that Banjo puts him forward for.
Yeah. And before we move on to the next product, I just want to say, so for Bradley, it's not just the fact that it's easier. Banjo has the capability of maximising his opportunities in market, help him find those elements of a job that people hold so near and dear, like more pay, greater growth opportunities, flexibility, fitting in, or even just a brand that they love.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the second product, which is the employer side of the equation. We've called this product C1 AI, and it's a Decidr-powered AI technology, one of which you've seen today, but one that I'm particularly excited about. Here you can see on the screen above me a hiring manager that works for a company called Vibrant Talent Agency. They're looking for a marketing manager. To begin with, they're conversing with C1 AI, and C1 AI is essentially helping them build out a conventional job post, but at the same time, extracting information out of this user that really shapes the foundations of the ideal candidate that they're looking for. And behind the scenes, as you could imagine, is going to work seamlessly and effortlessly to find the active candidates that are matching this role.
Yeah, again, for all those people that put their hands up on my first question, if you've posted a job, you know that typically the way you work with a job board is that you have to come up with a job description. And that's a monologue, right? So it takes a lot of time to think about how to write it and what to say. And to be honest, a lot of candidates don't even read the full job description anyway, so it can feel like a bit of wasted time. But in this case, because it's a dialogue, we can capture information and simultaneously sort of understand it and feed back to it. So an example of that is, it's just captured the salary range. Now, we can say, hey, you know, it looks like that salary range is a little bit under what the market is paying at the moment. Would you consider paying X amount? You know, and that sort of exchange helps the advertiser so much.
Yeah, I mean, this advertiser, this hiring manager might not even know what an acceptable market rate is for the skill set and for the, you know, exact profile of this particular job. And they can, in this free text format, just simply ask C1 AI, can you give me a recommended salary range for this? And it will use its, you know, immense data set to give up-to-date market recommendations on that, amongst other things.
Yeah.
All right, so we've moved on now to you know, the other side of C1 AI, where it's actually recommending candidates. And we could see Bradley, our mate from before. He's up there. He's at the top of the list. And what's cool about this is that, as I mentioned, his profile has been specifically personalized for this job type for a marketing manager. And here we see C1 AI actually telling the hiring manager why Bradley specifically is a great fit for this role, as well as 16 other candidates that are active in the market right now that are all extremely good matches. Very powerful.
Definitely. I think in this case, the employer here has actually wanted to find out a little bit more about this candidate and can ask a question of C1 AI. So again, C1 AI is playing that liaison role. And all the way down to the sort of bottom here, C1 AI has actually, in this case, scheduled an interview with the candidate for the employer. So just sort of take in the gravity of that situation. You know, only sort of 2 minutes ago, a business who needed a role filled was talking to C1 AI about the elements of what they're looking for. And within a couple of minutes, they've got an interview booked with a candidate. And this could take weeks or months on a typical job board.
On a typical job board.
Yes, let's jump in. All right, so we're very sort of new and early stages with Decidr. It's incredibly exciting. We're on a journey here, but coming in 2025, which as we know is just around the corner, the year's flying by. Jumping back to Bradley here from earlier on, Banjo is going to be asking interview questions of these candidates, and they can answer them right then and there on video. And you're going to see Bradley here give access to his camera. Now, these responses are going to be used across a range of jobs, so they can be reused when a job is relevant. And we'll see if he gives permission. I hope he does. Young Bradley. And there he is. Look at him. He's pouring his heart and soul into it. And, you know, like so many candidates, you just want a chance to be seen and heard and put your best foot forward and you know, sort of convey the reason why you're a great fit for a role. So that's extremely exciting to be able to offer that. And yes, as Tommy was mentioning, Bradley's going to be part of a list of candidates that we recommend to employers. Now, for me, one of the most exciting things about C1 AI is that it's going to be recommending candidates that aren't just in market looking for jobs today. It has the ability to headhunt and reactivate candidates, even from our 5 million plus database, if they're dormant or passive. So it can go out there and actually hunt those candidates. To me, super important because businesses are struggling to find quality candidates, and you know, being able to reach the entire market is so key. Also, sort of save the best for last for myself, and Tommy will wrap up after this. Coming in 2025, super excited to say that we will be able to offer more than just human help on CareerOne. So in a job board world first, we're going to be able to tell employers that their job is an AI-capable job, and we'll be able to recommend both AI and human talent for a role for them to hire from, which is just mind-blowing, and I can't wait to get there and show it off to you guys coming very soon.
Yeah, and look, that's the future. You know, when a technology like this comes into a market, it's particularly in a market, an industry as big as the job market, it's hard not to get excited because you see it and you're like, obviously that's how things are going to go. And it's very, very hard to look back. But without Decidr partnering up with CareerOne, the speed to market that we've been able to achieve just getting to where we are now with this product is tremendous, and we just wouldn't be able to do it without them. But fundamentally, it's allowed us to create some really powerful, revolutionary products out there that can actually be packaged up and baked into back-end systems of enterprises out there. So it's not necessarily just something that you'll see on CareerOne. We plan on integrating this into many partners, and one of those partners, which I'd love to talk about now, and I'll wrap up on this, is ELMO. We'll be launching a Decidr product directly into ELMO's backend and make it available, or make the power of C1 AI available to their many customers and clients, so that they can really turbocharge their hiring process using our immense data set, our candidate data, and everything else that C1 AI is able to bring towards them. So on that note, I'd love to call up Gordon Starkey, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of ELMO. Gordy, please, get me off the stage.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, David and Paul. Thank you. And there you go, Sam. Awesome. Agree.
Morning all, and just a couple of minutes from me. For those who don't know, ELMO Software has been around since 2002. We're an Australian originally led organisation, but have now moved international as well. We've got over 3,000 customers across Australia and New Zealand, and really what we focus on is an entire people management experience. It's payroll, it's HR, it's hire to retire. We see a lot of potential working with a number of the key members that you've seen come up this morning. And really, I guess, what we focus on is trying to make the employee experience better, but also really making people management much simpler and much smarter. What we see the opportunity here is to essentially take an area that is very costly, time-consuming, and just frankly challenging, and make it a lot simpler and smarter for organisations. And so the embedding of AI into our recruitment module is really going to facilitate that. I won't reiterate too much of what the far more technical people have done earlier, but really the Decidr magic around being able to take all of the information coming into the recruitment platform and help to get good matches identified against what we're looking for as an organisation, to be able to then add to that as a headhunting exercise based on what we know as an organisation, what we're looking for, to be able to have instant candidates headhunted through the CareerOne platform is absolutely incredible. And you think about the applications, I mean, recruitment is often a job of scale. We've got a lot of resumes coming through, and we're trying to work out where are the good ones and where do we spend our time. It'll help there. But it's also a game where sometimes it's actually really hard to find the right candidate, and it's not scale, it's about the right person. And it'll really help from a headhunting perspective to do that. Recruitment agents are going to be, I think, highly disrupted by the combination of this technology. I think this is really going to empower hiring managers themselves to be intimately involved and actually short-circuit this process. And I think in terms of outcomes, really what we're looking for here is efficiency, shortening that time to hire and minimising the time you've got an empty seat. Effectiveness, finding better candidates. And when you combine those two things of better candidates in seats faster, the productivity gains and financial implications for organisations is going to be enormous. And so we're really excited very early next year to be taking this out to our customer base. And really, I guess the idea that I'd leave you with is we see a lot of applications for a number of combinations of the technologies discussed this morning, and suggest watch this space in terms of what ELMO Decidr and CareerOne can bring. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Gordy. Thank you, Musa, and thank you, Tommy, on that. A private Paul TED Talk. I've had many of those over my 20 years. So we're coming into the home stretch. And now I'm going to ask Paul to join me on stage because we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the future. So you saw a lot today about the application layer of our technologies. We've tried to choose the apps that will be available and that every business that will want across the world. But as well, we've tried to give you really practical applications of how Decidr sits at that intersection between expertise of the organization and scalability on the top of it. And so as we look towards 2025, which Musa said is coming very quickly, there's a couple key application and platform releases that we'll be launching through next year. The first one is what we call the AI Performance Portal. So I talked about AI being inhuman, and we even had to create a virtualized layer for us to see how AI was thinking. But at the end of the day, humans sit on top of these AI organizations. And as humans, we all want to know what's going on. So launching in 2025 will be the performance portal, where you'll be able to start to interact with your Decidr platform and the multitude of AI agents. Which I like, if I leave anything with you today, is I like you to think about these micro agents and the massive scale that we have. It's like having unlimited number of Goldman Sachs interns, right? They're super capable, they're super keen, but they're also super dumb when they come out, right? But after you get that intern and they get their coffee order right, they progress through the organization and can become the CEO of the organization. So we're about putting these agents to work and starting to visualize the performance of your organization, because in an AI organization, you're going to think differently. You're going to think differently about your goals and aspirations, and you're going to be, many small businesses can't think about the next day, let alone the next year or next 5 years for the organization, and we'll be able to take them on that journey. The second release in 2025 will be our self-service portal. So we're working very closely with foundation customers at the moment to help tune and build use case examples of this very new and I know avant-garde technology that we're working with. But very soon you'll be able to go to the Decidr platform, and without any humans, you'll be able to put in your aspirations, your goals, your website, what you want to achieve as an organization, and connect your data, and your AI parallel will spin up automatically for you. And then lastly, which we'll get into momentarily, is we will be launching AI organizations. At Decidr, if you think about any organization and you strip away its products and services, 80% of all the workflows in every company are kind of the same. And of those workflows, 80% are knowledge tasks. And AI is better than 80% of humans at doing those knowledge tasks. So we've created all of the organizations already. All you need to do is plop a human on top of it and a business owner to be a founder, a shareholder, or a participant in that organization, and you'll be able to claim those organizations. And an AI-first organization will vastly outcompete a human organization. And so we're really excited to start to bring those to the market next year. And then, so if we talk about our roadmap of where we think, and I think it's really important to end the day, and Paul's going to take us through really and bring to life this knowledge task production line system that we've built, but really talk about how we see the world and our 4 pillars. So the first pillar you saw today, which is AI process autonomy. We went through a lot of demos today. There was only 25 minutes of it, but I want to kind of make sure that something lands. In all of those instances, AI was thinking autonomously. We gave it a goal, and it interacted in all those different circumstances. So we're well on the way of that. And if you remember my quadrant before with a couple blank spots, those are already filled in. We just don't have enough time today to go through them all. The second is, once you have enough processes put together, you have business units. So very quickly, we'll be launching full end-to-end business units of marketing, sales, logistics, and so on and so forth. And once those business units are together, once you have all of them, what do you have next? You start to get to AI organizational autonomy. And this is what I talked about in the glimmers of self-service, where instead of focusing on the people, the processes, the politics, and procedures of your business, Decidr is a generalized platform. It's like Excel. You can do anything with Excel. It's like a laptop. You can do anything with a laptop. That is what our platform is. It's a generalized platform of which you put in your business goals, aspirations, strategies, brand vision, tone of voice, judgment, taste. All of those are incredibly human attributes, higher order attributes. And that specialized marketplace, once those AI organizations are created, will allow us to create essentially an organized network that's fully autonomous. So what's sexier than an AI business? It's an AI business talking to an AI business, right? So you can imagine the network of businesses that we will release will be able to do business with each other on it. And so we're really excited to start to bring this to you. This is the way that we see the world. This is the way that we're rushing. We're kind of on the wrong sides of the stage, but I'm the dad on the operational execution side. Paul's on the generalized platform side, and we'll switch here so it lines up a little bit better. I kid you not, we are sea bomber energy pushing towards the middle here. Dancing, no dancing, lots of sweating though on it. So I'll pass to Paul, and he's going to finish us up. But this is the last for me, so thank you for listening in today, and I'll pass it to Paul.
Thanks, David. So I started the presentation by telling you that this is big, and a lot of things are going to change. And a lot of things are going to change, I think, a lot faster than people realize. But let's go right into that artisan's workshop, and let's look at the modern day workshop, which kind of looks like everyday life right now. That's what it looks like. And let's now quickly look at what an individual's day might look like. You're opening up lots of tabs, you're using your brain, and every one of these lines is a process. It's a task. It's not only a process and a task, it's a repeatable task. And if I sat with any of you for long enough and I asked you enough questions, I could work out what the questions were that you were asking in your head before you did that task. And that's part of the secret sauce. But AI is here, it's real. And these knowledge workflows have been changed for some people, for a lot of people, like millions of people, in a very short period of time, dramatically. They're using ChatGPT, they're using Gemini, and they're augmenting their capability. They're using it as a tool, a human tool. But that's logical and powerful and incredible in so many ways. But it's like giving everybody and taking everybody's tasks, all those separate tasks, the different tabs they go to, the different systems they log into, and then giving them that analogy of a robot arm. But they've got a control and they can only move between one at a time. And which one do I work on now? And I feel productive. I feel like I'm doing less work. I'm definitely doing less thinking, which is what I'm being paid for as a knowledge worker, because I'm now augmenting that thought with questions I ask. So I have to ask the questions, and I'm changing the workflow. But am I really changing the workflow? Not really. I'm just doing exactly the same things. But we all know AI is here, it's real, it's super real. I won't go into the details because I'm not allowed to, not necessarily because of secrecy, but because it just takes a long time. But it's big buzzwords, like it's an inflection point, it's a paradigm shift. And more importantly, it's a way, in my super strong opinion, to both empower people and move what they're doing every day, like the Annas of the world. How much, if you want to talk where the energy comes from, if you want to talk about the passion, it's when I talk to passionate people that can't connect with their customers at scale. It's talking to frustrated business owners. That's why we're very focused on SMEs, and SMEs are very, very important because we have a plan. David talked about the parallel, but he was talking about parallel processes, parallel functions, and you saw those operate, and they're impressive. They're super impressive. They're still time-consuming in the sense that they need to be set up. We're working on that. You probably didn't notice on the last slide, but David works on one side, I work on the other, and we're trying to compress time as much as we possibly can. And when you upgrade, you make sure that there's, one, something that is significantly better, and two, you dial right back into being human, into imagining what that future could look like, which is super important, because if you don't do that, if you can't imagine where things are going to go, you can't think about and define that future state, then you can't grow, you can't improve. And so let's just really quickly break things up into really enough detail so we can understand what's going on. The first thing is that for the assembly line and then thousands of other assembly lines that were created after that process, they just basically break things up into separate tasks. And very importantly, those tasks are simple. As David said, the intelligence that is available today frankly can go to PhD level. And nobody hires PhD level on a simple task. And that's what you'll be doing, hiring PhD level on a simple task. a knowledge task. One question, one simple question, but they'll be broken up. They'll be broken up so that you can see them. That's what matters to me, being able to see them. You'll be able to start moving information that's in people's heads in your organization, and you'll move it into the system. You'll start making a system an asset. And like the assembly line, the moving assembly line automated the movement. It means that you didn't have to move around, you didn't have to walk around. Ford had a lot of it worked out. He had very large ambitions. He wanted to put this into the world like we do. We are so desperate to put this into the world. We really want the ability for people to customize and realize there's a whole bunch of things that were happening that they just weren't aware of because it was part of everyday life, and make those visible and make those decisions. More importantly, and this is a critical thing, Ford famously said you can have any color as long as it's black. He reduced huge amounts of what you would call customization, personalization, and frankly, eventually, 15, 20 years later, lost out to GM, who was much more focused on the customer, not the utility, but both the utility and the function and the form, sorry. He focused on both. They focused on both. Ford wanted the utility first, and he achieved that to a great extent. But what if every single piece of knowledge work could be customized? Because it is already. What if every variation, and it's more variations than you can imagine, as you start adding more steps and more variables, then every output is customized. And David showed a little bit of that, where websites won't be necessarily one-to-many, and content won't be one-to-many, all the way down to individual titles and paragraphs will be written to ensure that it aligns to information that is now in the system that has been captured from customers and their AI to make sure that you are aligning every decision to your goals. Decidr digitizes everything. Now, I mean that literally. I mean, if you were to take every process in a business, and I want to go back to that robot arm because it's kind of a very solid analogy, and I asked a person, so you've got to take this wheel nut and you've got to screw it onto the wheel. What are all the things that go through your mind? Is there enough nuts in the bucket? What happens if there's not? Do I pick up one at a time or three at a time? Do I screw quickly and then slowly? It's quite a lot of questions. And you're a generalized superintelligence. Let's be really clear. You are, as a human, a generalized superintelligence. So no wonder that became very monotonous, very boring, and frankly, anyone who saw that, who was doing that for a job all day, every day, that can't be the great quality of life. That can't be an improvement in quality of life. It's just a stepping stone. So what if you could create all of those processes on a core, which is why it's been taking so long to put this together, on a core that already has a lot of great processes? How many people put in their own processes, or how many people actually do the knowledge work of going to the internet, doing a search, finding what the process is that other people are doing, looking for the social signal on, and the confidence in a method, and then trying to apply that in their business, and then go through the process of training it? All of those things will now be products, knowledge products, mass-produced, high-quality, constantly improving knowledge products that you can install into all of the many places in your organization that can be constantly improved. And every process is, let's think of it like a living thing. It has goals, and it has a budget, and it works on time. Like, all of the things that were not clear, they are similar. Nobody asks their employees to turn up to work. I mean, some of you might, but all of these functions just kind of happen in the background. We've had to go down the rabbit hole. We've had to truly understand what it means to become autonomous, what it means to be a process working inside thousands of other processes, what it means to ask for budget. Budget is the only thing that allows the process to kick off in the beginning? What if it could then set its own goals? What if it then augmented those goals with taste and common sense? What if humans, as David said, or specialists could be in the loop, constantly talking to it, training it, tuning it as you go, constantly adding and improving it? And the name Decidr, it comes from something, quite obviously. But I've done a huge amount of work with the founders of choice modeling. And also, I've had a lot of very, very lucky opportunities to spend time with different people along the way who were doing exactly the same thing. Literally getting information out of people's heads. How did you do this? Why did you do this? Why did you buy this? Why did you approach this particular tool in a particular way? Tracking, watching motions on a screen. Everything you could possibly imagine that defined what was going on in somebody's head. And so I got the opportunity, and I founded the whole business around the concept of what we're calling a Decidr choice matrix. The Decidr choice matrix is the thing that in time people are going to understand separates and enables humans to sit above this new intelligence. Because every decision and every single thing, and let's not have the conversation now, but every single thing can be turned into a decision. Everything. And if you take that approach, which is inhuman, and you apply it to every single process, and every single process now has a particular score that is aligned to every single decision, and you can start to think about how quickly you can improve, how quickly your organization and every one of its processes can have a number one best choice at that time, based on a score, and all of the attributes that David said that include taste, that include human input, that include things that Anna was saying, like her brand, the essence, things she doesn't compromise on. All of those things can be a considered attribute. So what was amazing to me was this was being built for much larger businesses that could afford this. It was going to be powered by the next generation of, let's say, humans in the loop, which is a little bit about what Musa was talking about, things that will be coming in 2025, things that are really exciting, things all of you will be able to participate in with the knowledge and skills that you have that can be plugged into these processes. But out of nowhere, and I've spent a lot of time on machine learning, I can't tell you I love it. I can't tell you I love AI. I love this stuff much more because it's much more human, much more controllable. And also, until Gen AI came through, which is just incredible, it's amazing, it's the reason we're all here, I didn't think I could just get that many things filled in. Perfect data. Because if you have perfect data, you can make better decisions. And lo and behold, more than a year ago, it could answer every one of these much smaller questions with much higher accuracy. It could take out all hallucination. And the most important thing to understand, and the biggest hallucination today, comes from humans hallucinating that they think they can ask an AI to produce an output that comes from 50 or 100 or 200 separate knowledge tasks. Think about it. So let's go back to that 12-person org. Much bigger than Anna's company, but they're getting some scale. But just really quickly, that is the operating system. These people's what's in these people's heads, their decision to turn up to work, that is the operating system. Can it be automated? Yes. If I took every one of the functions, every one of the processes, and there's a lot of work in doing that. There's a lot of starting points, but that was like a fresh canvas. There was a best practice method. There was a reason for everything that you could literally read. This is the reason why we did this. And you could take all of those things and put them in to this, let's say, new type of organization. this autonomous organization, this one where we literally start to think bigger. We have to kind of think bigger, or you don't light it up. It has to have bigger aspirations because it can do so much more at once. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And as David said, in the not too distant future, because we've done all of this work, and because we're building whole organizations, you're going to be able to buy them like a franchise. And of course, a franchise was inspired by Ford, because a franchise is a model in which all of the processes are defined and they're put into process manuals. And hopefully, the training works and people follow the process. Hopefully. But you have to go find all the people, and you've got to build the process, build the actual org. What if you could just buy it off the shelf? What if you're an inspired entrepreneur? What if you're a superstar specialist that knows you are the core of the business, that we could wrap an incredible organization around? Take away all of the things that you could see were frustrating someone like Anna, who just wants to put value into people's lives. So I'm going to finish off with someone that I'm definitely inspired by and is getting so much more press, but also, honestly, I'm going to read the quote because it's going to allude to many things that I'm not allowed to talk to today. We all need to understand what happens when we're surrounded by AIs that do things incredibly well, often better than us. When I reflect on that, it's my life. I have 60 direct reports, and the reason they're here is that they're world-class at what they do, better than me. I have no trouble interacting with them, prompt engineering them, this is his words, or programming them. That's what people will learn. They're all going to be the CEO of their own AI agents. Their creativity, will, and knowledge on how to reason and break down problems will allow these AIs to help achieve their goals, just like I do running companies. And so I want to finish on that. I want to hopefully have put a few more beliefs in your minds. This is real, it is coming, and I think the spoils are going to go to the ones who are early. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, that concludes our presentation today. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We really appreciate you taking the time. To all the people watching online, thank you as well, across the coast, across the big pond. We'll be able to